Hey everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead podcast and welcome to Star Player Spotlight. We are looking at all the stars revealed in the Blood Bowl 2020 rulebook. We're looking at their stats, their skills, what teams they can play for and their new special abilities. And today we are looking at one of the most famous elf players of all time, Eldril Sidewinder. So first up, Eldril is still playing for the same teams he was before. There's one team here missing, High Elves. Now we're hoping to see them in a PDF format when the new edition lands, fingers crossed. But for all intents and purposes, he's still doing the same thing he's doing, supporting Dark Elves, Elf Union and Wood Elves. None of the other teams going to look in. Okay, so let's look and see what exactly you get when you take Eldril Sidewinder on your team. So stats-wise, this guy is a bit of a beast. So 230k first of all as a cost, which puts him kind of mid-range star player power. Not the 260 plus of the really big boys, not the 160 of the cheap ones, but that 230 means he's going to be hard to put in a team, but you can do it. You just have to sacrifice an absolute ton. So at more expensive tournaments, 1200 you can fit him in, and if you are punching up, so he plays for elves. Elves are going to take some casualties here, so you are going to be a little bit lower on TV sometimes. So if you are up against a seasoned league team, you're starting out with elves, or you've just come off a really bad game with elves, you may actually be able to afford Eldril in your team. So movement 8, strength 3, agility 2+, passing 5+, armor 8+. Eldril hasn't changed in any way there. He's still strength 3, he's still old school edge 4. The passing's dropped a little bit, armor's stayed the same, armor 7 to armor 8+. Movement 8 is still the second best movement you can get in this game. So as we look at the skills, we've got no sprint, no short feet or anything like that. So it is an honest 8 movement, not like what we've seen from some of the other stars. So an honest movement 8. Hey, war dancers are very fast. So skills wise, this guy has got an absolute ton. So he's got catch, dodge, hypnotic gaze, loner 4+, which is exactly standard, nerves of steel, and on the ball. So it's interesting. Old school Eldril had pass block. Pass block merged with kickoff return to become on the ball here. So he's actually got a little bit better in that regard. He has gone up 30k, which is a bit of a shame, but being able to move those 3 squares when you're receiving the kick is really going to help maneuver him where you want him. So whether he's going to be the ball carrier or whether he's just going to be positioning himself to get that catch, dodge, run, 3 extra squares of movement. I don't think it can go across the line of scrimmage, but it will still get you to a place where you want to be with those three squares. So catch is going to be really useful. So if you do use on the ball to put him underneath the ball, he's going to get a shot at that 3+ catch twice. Edge 2+ combined with hypnotic gaze, he's going to be a really interesting option for you. So Hypno Gaze is great on a strength 4 player. So if vampires return and they keep their Hypno Gaze, not bad, because it's going to be a bad block backwards. This guy's armor 8+, has got dodge to be fair, and his strength 3. Tell him a Skaven coach, can't you? Strength 3 dodge sounds massively better than strength 2 dodge. Gutters can take a punching, and Eldril is also going to be able to take a minor punching, but you've got to use that Hypno Gaze really, really well. It gives you the option. This guy can move 8 squares. He's dodging on a 2+ with an integral reroll, which helps you from a star player point of view. That catch allows him to be a catcher. I know that sounds really basic, but most stars you don't necessarily want them to carry the ball, either because you're going to be SPP hogging, or because if you go for the handoff and they fail, you have to risk that loner roll. He's got catch, so regardless of whether you're using on the ball to get him to get the ball, now 2+ is not bad, but all your team has 2+, or you're going to be using him as a receiver or a stretch play guy, that catch is going to be really, really useful. It's going to take away that loner element. And Nerves of Steel as well means it's going to be 2+ with a reroll no matter what the situation. So the passing game is taking a bit of a punch. So Dark Elves not passing so much, Wood Elves not passing so much either. They do have a thrower who is not bad at all though. Pro Elves are the land of the throwing, and Eldril Sidewinder does fit in there as an elite catcher. He's got nerves, he's got that sweet movement, He's got agility. He is basically an elf catcher that comes with all those skills. And Hypnogaze. Hypnogaze will be really useful. So when we talk about star players, we like to talk about the effect on the team. We like to talk about whether their skills match what they're trying to do. Eldril has that offensive punch as well, but not by blocking. So there's no block, there's no jugs, there's no wrestle, horns, none of that. And it's only strength 3. But he's going to move in there and have a crack with Hypnogaze, and you are going to be able to assault a cage. So if you're using Eldril to support your Dark Elves, your Witch Elf or your Blitzer is going to be able to get in realistically and attack at some point of the cage. Now, one tackle zone is not going to make it a good block, but actually a corner of the cage is gone. You can sneak your Blitzer in. It's a 1 dice block with your skills on the ball carrier. Eldril is going to be huge, and if you strike well, it doesn't matter if Eldril takes a punch back as well. That's the one thing to bear in mind, is that Eldril is fragile as you like, so do be careful. But having that 2+ to remove a tackle zone basically anywhere you want at any time can be the difference between winning and losing a game. And quite frankly, if you just want to use him in offense, you could do a lot worse than a movement 8 catch dodge nerves of steel catcher. Like, his stats are great. Let's have a look at his special ability, Mesmerizing Dance, which allows him to, once per game, Eldril may re-roll a failed agility test when attempting to use the Hypnotic Gaze trait. So, not only does he have the option of Hypnogaze, which we're just going to double check as far as the skill goes to make sure I've not misread it, but he gets to re-roll the dice. Now, it might be that Hypnogaze works with agility -1, in which case it's a 3+ with a reroll, which is seriously not bad. Now, is Hypnogaze... There we go. It is agility -1, so it's going to be a 3+ normally, but once per game you get to re-roll it, and that is a 1 in 9. A 1 in 9 chance of taking away a tackle zone once per game when you really have to do it gives him strength. So, the skill is useful. His skills are very useful as a receiver. Downside is that will be your SPP's gone. He does have a flip option of the Hypnogaze attack, which using Mesmerizing Dance is going to work once per game really well, and you can risk it at other times. Eldril does things, and when your opponent plays Eldril against your team, you're going to feel it. He is a threat. He is a massive threat. He is not the most massive threat, but he is in there in the top 5 scoring threats, star player wise. You got to budget that cost though. 230 is huge. I think he does a lot of stuff. I think for 40k more, I think you get Roxana, who is just I think a little bit more scory than Eldril, with better agility and that leap ability, but Eldril is still really good. So let's have a look at a couple of model options if you want to take Eldril on the tabletop. And the first, we've got the Forge World original itself. It's not the original. I missed the original model. That's great, but very, very small these days. So of all the Forge World star player models, I think this is one of my favorite, and it could be the paint job, which we don't say a lot about Forge World, but actually it's painted superbly. The model is really dynamic. I actually genuinely love everything about this, and the star player being 230 means you can realistically build an Eldril team for a tournament, which I think is quite fun. It is Forge World, and it is going to cost you £20-something to get it posted. So on that side, not so great, given that it's probably the same price as an entire team. However, if you want a star player, if you want a month, you've got a month where you've got nothing else to paint, I would pick up this model and just really have a go at doing it justice. We do have an alternative though, and the alternative is from Willy Miniatures, and it is called Eldrid Hypnotic Eyes. So not even trying to pretend that this isn't supposed to be Eldril. I don't think it's quite as good as the Forge World model, but it is only €9.95, so it is probably less than half price. It depends how much you're going to be using him. Star players are kind of tricky in that regard, because you only need one, so that cost is like, I only need one, but I'm not going to be able to run it all the time. So it's that cost versus use. If you don't want to spend as much as the Forge World one, then the Willy Miniatures, I think, does a really good job of performing the same demonstration of the character. You know, he's got the mohawk, he's got the the Harlequin trousers that really smacks of 2nd edition. I like this model. I would go for the Forge World one, but at half the price, there is nothing wrong with this one at all. So that wraps up my thoughts on Eldril Sidewinder. 230k is pricey, and when you're running elves, it will be a bit of a struggle to get him in there. But if you can, then Eldril is going to give you a serious scoring threat, and that Hypno Gaze is going to be really useful, and the fact that his ability allows him to re-roll it once per game means that when you want to use Eldril to take away a tackle zone, it's going to work, and the rest of the time, you know, now it got kickoff return as well. Those 3 extra squares with catch means he can receive the ball really effectively. None of the elf teams start with anything like sure hands, and quite frankly, positioning Eldril to catch the ball with catch, it gives you almost 2 additional rolls to pick up the ball, if that's what you want to do with him. However, using him as a movement 8 Nerves of Steel catcher with agility 2+ is very much not a bad strategy. So it's going to be a 2+ quick pass and a 2+ catch with a reroll. It's, you know, it's a lot of movement and a lot of speed, and Eldril is going to be a bit of a force. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of Eldril, whether you think he's still as good in this edition as he was in the last edition, even though he's gone up 30k. And let us know who you want to cover next, because we're nearly there with our star players. Anyway, I'm going to sign off, and we will see you again soon. Thanks for watching.